All right. Thank you for joining us, Congressman. I appreciate it. And first off, let's start right here. Why do you believe your district is being specifically targeted by Republican redistricting efforts? Is this about demographics? Is it about party power or you personally?
Well, it's a little bit of everything, right? But certainly party power. The Republicans just passed the bill, which they like to call the big beautiful bill, which was nothing but, and that cut $500 billion of Medicare for seniors. It cut $400 billion of Medicaid for the working poor. It cut school lunch programs. It cut Meals on Wheels for seniors. It cut Pell Grants. It cut student loans. It cut veterans care. All this to give the ultra wealthy billionaires a tax break and multinational corporations a tax break. That's who gets the big tax break, and at the cost of working Americans losing healthcare and losing so many other programs. And they know that there's going to be repercussions to pay next year at the ballot box. So, in anticipation of them, losing in 2026, which they know it's going to happen, they decided to go out and draw districts and redraw districts. And instead of allowing voters to choose their representative, they want to choose the voters. And that's what they're doing here. And that's what they want to do across the country. And I think ultimately, their ultimate goal is probably to challenge that there's a Supreme Court challenge of the Voting Rights Act. And if they're able to dilute the Voting Rights Act, I know they're targeting Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which gives minorities representation, Latinos, African Americans, Asian communities across the country, representation in Washington to assure that American districts reflect what America looks like. They're trying to stop that, and they want to take us back to the 50s and 60s. But I don't believe that their plan will work, even under this new redistricting plan. I think at best it'll be a wash. Obviously, it's going to create, which I'm not for, by the way, it's going to create a redistricting revolution across the country. You're going to see if Texas does it, you're going to see California respond, then you'll see Florida do it, then you'll see New York and Maryland respond. And it's just a never ending process of chaos. And I think the American people deserve better. We've already redistricted. We do it every 10 years. We did it. I had to run in a new district with a 75% new group of people because they drew my home and about 250,000 constituents, and they stripped my district in three, all targeting me and trying to turn the region into a Republican district. I still won my district. I'm a moderate Democrat. I won in a district that Trump won by four. And I won in a district where many other Democrats didn't get through past the finish line. But unfortunately, politics have become very dirty. We've allowed the extremes on both sides to hijack government, and there's less and less moderates on both sides. Um, as you know, I'm one of the most bipartisan Democrats in the country, and I don't do it intentionally. I really do it just because that's kind of who we are in South Texas, and that's the way it's worked out. And I've worked well with moderate people on the other side of the aisle, and we've done a lot of great things. I brought over $7 billion to my congressional districts since I've been in Congress, and I did this many times with the Republicans in the majority. Unfortunately, they're trying to turn back the clock on the process on how government works and more bipartisanship. Things are so polarized right now that we can't take care of business. And you can see that right now at the state house, where you have in Austin, you have folks more focused on redistricting than on paying attention to the floods that we just had in Central Texas and the lives that we lost and the billions of dollars in property damage that we just lost. We are more focused in appeasing the man from New York than we are taking care of Texans. And I say that, uh, you know, sadly, right? Because I never thought I would see a Texas governor bow to a New Yorker the way I've seen Governor Abbott do.
Let me ask you a few questions. Again, those House Democrats have fled the state for places like New York and Chicago. Do you support their strategy, or do you think this is just simple political theater?
Well, let me tell you, I I think, they're fighting on the front lines of democracy. They know that if we allow this to happen in Texas, it can happen in states across the country, and we no longer have a representative democracy. So I applaud them for that. But at some point, we probably have to fight this in the courts. And we don't want it to extend so far along that we're not able to litigate these cases prior to our primary election coming up, right? So there's got to be a balance between activism and legal action, right? And I compare it to back in the civil rights era. We had Martin Luther King that gave beautiful speeches on the mall in Washington, but it was Thurgood Marshall that actually changed policies around the country by trying cases in federal courts and around the South. And ultimately, I think our savior may be going through the court system. It'd be great if there was some sort of divine intervention uh, in the state capitol that said, you know what, this is nonsense. We shouldn't be causing all this chaos for our state. And maybe we'll revisit it next cycle and kind of table it and move along. That would be a very smart thing for Governor Abbott to do. He had a good legislative session this last cycle. He accomplished a lot of the things that were on his agenda. But when Trump calls, everybody bows, including now the governor of Texas.
Critics, which include the governor, say that the Democrats running from the redistricting vote abandon their responsibilities. What do you say to that?
They didn't abandon their responsibility. They're trying to secure democracy for Texans. They're trying to secure uh, a process that has existed for a very, very long time for voters to be able to choose their representatives. It's really appalling that he's trying to steal people's representation, and then he wants to slap them for it. Really, that's what it is. It's like a crook that steals from you, and when you catch him and get mad at him, he's mad at you for catching him. And that's kind of what it is. If you think about it, from a nonpartisan point of view and just a very common sense look at this, let's not look at it as Democrats or Republicans. Let's just look at what this governor and the Republican legislature is trying to do at the bequest of their master. He is trying to change the representatives for millions of people across the state against their choice. And if you look at it from that perspective, I don't care if it's a Democrat doing this or a Republican doing this, it's wrong. And I, as you know, as one of the Democrats that represented a border region for a long time, I was one of the most critical Democrats in the country on President Biden when there was chaos on the border or when there were issues that I didn't agree with. I took him on tooth and nail within my own party and, with people within my party upset at me, but I knew it was the right thing to do for my district and for my state. Well, we don't see any of this on the other side. Not a single person has the courage to stand up to this president. Other than, I guess, we could say Congressman Massey, who I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I have a great deal of respect for him. He has been the only one with the courage to stand up to this president. And you know what the president is doing to him? Spending millions of dollars in attack ads in Kentucky in his congressional district to someone within his party that doesn't agree with him.
Do you believe Democrats have any real power to try and stop the gerrymandering in the state? Or are we just going to watch, or the Democrats are going to watch the opposition, you know, just have their way? So do y'all have any real power to stop this? I mean, they can't stay out of the state for months and years, can they?
Well, I mean, anything is possible, but politically, if everybody is in the chamber in Texas, the Republican Party right now has an overwhelming amount of power and overwhelming numbers to really pass anything that they want, and that's just a fact, right? It's a mathematical equation, and that can change only by winning elections. And I tell people more than ever in our history, elections have had consequences, and I think we need to engage our communities and engage people across the country that, hey, we're living in a very critical time in American history, and everyone has a responsibility to respond and to show up and stand up and speak up.
Now, what do you think your district is going to end up looking like under these new maps? And do you
Yeah.
think it'll lead to you winning re-election? You've said that, you've overcome a lot in the past years with different challengers and different things in play. Uh, what's going to happen and what's your plan?
Yeah. Well, my new map takes me into Corpus Christi, right? That brings a smile to my face because that was my hometown where I was born and raised, and I have a lot of deep roots. I went to Catholic school there. I went to Del Mar College. I graduated from Del Mar College before going to university and off to law school. But I have a lot of relationships there. I think Corpus Christi and Nueces County is kind of a county that votes for the person more than the party. It's kind of a swing county, if you will. So it's not like it's neither an extreme red or an extreme blue. I wish the rest of the country was that way, to be honest with you. And I have every intention of winning this new congressional district if I'm drawn into Corpus.
What's your message to the voters in District 34? Whatever District 34 turns out to be, if it does change, what's your message to them?
Well, my message is that we have a lot riding in this next election, and we have a lot happening in this country. Right now, our democracy is under attack. Institutions that have kept America floating with a straight ship for a long time, a straight and steady hand, are under attack. The Department of Education is under attack. Just the entire structure of the American government that has been so functional for so long is being destroyed. You have generals, senior generals being asked to leave. You have federal prosecutors and federal agents getting letters saying that they're being asked to retire early. You're talking about the folks with the most institutional knowledge to keep our country afloat are being shown the door. And I think it's a moment for everyone to unite and do what's right. And look at some of the legislation that has gone through. The reason we're here, and let's not fool ourselves, the reason we're here and the reason they're trying to take these seats is because they know after passing this bill that I just mentioned, the big beautiful bill that cut, almost $1 trillion of healthcare away from the American people, mostly to senior citizens and working people, and hurt our veterans and hurt students, student loans, and so many people in working class America. They know there's going to be an overwhelming backlash, and I'm not just talking a backlash of Democrats going out to vote. I'm talking about independents. I'm talking about moderate Republicans who say, "Hey, we didn't sign up for this." And I have a lot of friends, Republican friends and independent friends, farmers and bankers and business people who say, whoa, whoa, we weren't never expecting this. My farmers right now don't have labor to harvest their crops. Construction companies around the country, and certainly here in Texas, don't have labor to finish their projects, which is now spilling over to bankers. I have bankers coming in my office saying, "Hey, this labor shortage is hurting us because we have heavy resources invested in future construction projects, and we're not sure that they can finish within the timeline that they're obligated to because of the shortage." And it's really destructive. Now we my farmers were talking about the tariffs, right? Now they're struggling to export some of their product to certain countries, and it's just and you can't plan. Some of them didn't want to plant this year because they didn't know what they could do with their harvest. They didn't know if they would, the margins are thin in farming and in so many other businesses. Margins are thin, and if you can't plan because there's potential tariffs on your product, you might just sit this season out. And what happens when we sit 1 or 2 seasons out? Where do our customers go? They go to Brazil, they go to Chile, they go to Mexico, they go to other countries around the world and fill in that gap. We've already lost our sorghum market to China, and we lost other products to other countries around the world, Europe and the Middle East. They're looking for other places to be supplied when we cut them off. And the business community in America sometimes loses those consumers forever.
Right now, what do you see as the future for the Democratic Party? Who is the future of the Democratic Party?
Well, I don't know who our presidential nominee is going to be yet. We're still quite a while away from it, but I can assure you someone will emerge. and somebody that's qualified that can push the country in the right direction. But I think I'm looking at next term elections, right? And we need to take the majority of the House to put the brakes, simply to put the brakes and create a balance of power in Washington, irregardless of how we feel for the next presidential election. But we can't let this extreme, radical uh, mechanism of policies continue to just come out of really coming out lawlessly. It's really an authoritarianship because we have a complete majority in Washington that will not speak up to their president. Not a single person, other than Congressman Massey, who I have a great deal of respect for, but he's not enough. One person is not enough. But people ask me, what's the difference between? Because I served under the first 4 years of President Trump. They're like, what's the difference between those 4 years and these 4 years? Well, the difference is very clear. My first 4 years, there were 20 or 30 or 40 Republicans that would speak up and oppose some of the wild policies that were coming out of the administration. Right now, we have one, if any, right? We have Congressman Massey that comes up half the time. And everybody is under complete submission, and you cannot have a functional democracy when people will not speak up in their districts. And I can tell you, for example, and I have a lot of Republican friends in Congress that I hang out with and I'm really close with. 75 of the poorest districts in America are represented by Republicans. People that are having major Medicare cuts in their district, Medicaid cuts in their district, all kinds of social programs, student loans, Pell Grants, taking care of veterans that are going to be cut in the poorest districts in America. I don't know how, in good conscience, you can vote for a bill like that and show up to your district and tell them that it was a beautiful bill.
On that, we'll end our Zoom this afternoon. We appreciate it, Congressman, for all of your thoughts, and please stay in touch.
Thank you. Yep. Hope to see you soon. Take care.